While Doug's origin story really started with the Every Good Endeavor book, teaching to young professionals, our TrueWorks origin story begins with the OG H-Town Fellows.
Yes.
The year was
2017. We got a late start to our year together because of Hurricane Harvey.
Yes.
I remember that. We were a small group of about 8 or 9 folks. Lots of different folks in that group. Jordan Benningfield, Jake Dodson,
Shika Hansen, Amy Rasplika, my husband, JD Thomas.
There you go. And Jim Birchfield and Doug were actually teaching the class, and we had a great time together.
Did we ever think at that point in time that it would end up becoming its own nonprofit serving Houston?
No, and I don't think I ever thought I'd end up working with you and Doug. Not that it's bad, it's great. But if you'd said to me when we met all those years ago, hey, you all are gonna help launch this nonprofit and you're gonna be on the team that does the work for it, I would have laughed very hard.
Yeah. We talk a lot about how, the origin story for founders or leaders in general, it's really, it's owning the entirety of your story and the entirety of who you've been called and made to be, right? And that was a huge part of my story, and I know yours as well, is that program and that reconciling the reality of whether we are applying our formal theology in our functional day-to-day work.
Yeah, it's the whole, I know what I say I believe on paper, but can I actually operate that way in my day-to-day?
And how does that work when you're working with other folks who may not have the same worldview? What is the limit or the potential of applying that kind of redemptive imagination?
And I run into that all the time. How other people treat vendors is different than how I want to treat a vendor. How other people see the relationship with a client is sometimes different than how I want to see my relationship with a client and how we do a project together, do work together. And then, we see it all the time in all of the different businesses, small, medium, large, that we work with, the nonprofits that we work with. Where is it that what you believe actually affects how you do your work?
Yeah. Doug talks often about, to assess how you're living your life, sometimes you need to look at what you love and what you use, and sometimes we love the things we should be using. And at the end of the day, as you talk about vendors and clients and colleagues, if ever we're using people, then that tells us what we need to know to restart, because we should be loving people first and using the resources at our disposal to love them first and foremost.
Yeah. And I think often about how we are messaging that and then living that out with the folks that come in the door all the time with TrueWorks, whether it's through a lab or through our H-Town Fellows course or through an organizational health check, whatever it is, it's so interesting to see how that works itself out in real life for a lot of these people. And so many of them I have such great admiration for. That's when we talk about the ecosystem engineers of our city. I'm truly blown away by the folks that we get to do this work with. Folks that are making sure that there's affordable childcare for those in the city that don't have access to the same kind of resources that others do when it comes to paying for incredibly high daycare or what have you. I think about folks in our realm that are working with nonprofits all the time as a media company, our friends, the Paradeshis, and how they are working to figure out what that looks like from an operational standpoint and just how they run their business to how they choose their clients and who they work with. I think about all of the different fellows that I've had the privilege of knowing these many years, whether it's Manish and Leisha Shah or Caroline Nakamura, who's now on our board. I think about all of those different people who are affecting change, but also just being who it is they're called to be, working out their functional theology in their workplace, whether it's human resources, childcare, education, helping teachers get certified, you name it. That's where I get so much joy out of the jobs that we get to do, out of the work that we get to do here.
Yeah, and all these people, first and foremost, we love Houston. even though all of our team is not from Houston, we've decided that we were going to dedicate this part of our vocation to seeking its flourishing, because we see it as such a beautiful place to provide opportunity for people who have dreams. You know, the new American dream is something we've talked about Houston being before, and the city of the future, right? Houston is so diverse and so equipped to solve so many problems. If we can gather together people who have this redemptive view of our city, amazing things will happen. And you know, we seek to be the connective tissue of that. I think about people who are already doing that in our city, like Amber Knowles in the Riverside Project, who acts as the connective tissue in the adoptive and foster space of Houston, connecting different resources and agencies and helping them best work together with local churches and individuals who have a heart for the orphan.
So I hope that so many people who are listening to this and watching us, and many people that already know us, you know, we hang out a lot together. We tend to go to a lot of different places and spaces in the city together with Doug. Yeah. Would join us for our very first fundraiser. Fundraising's hard. We've learned that over the last couple of years, but we also recognize that we have a calling to help the helpers of our city, whether it's the Riverside Project or it happens to be Yellow Box, who is our media and branding firm. You name it. We know that we are called to help people who are already out there helping in their spaces and making a difference in their spaces. So we'd love it if you would come join Kate and I for breakfast Wednesday, April 3rd at the Post HTX. You can purchase a table, you can purchase an individual ticket, whatever you decide to do. We really do hope you can come celebrate with us, the ecosystem engineers of our city, and get a glimpse of what is already happening in our city through the people that we get to help day in and day out.
God is working in Houston, and we don't seek to exert our will over what's happening, but we want to join in the work that's already being done. There's enough room for everyone, whether you are a founder or a leader of a nonprofit or a for-profit, or you're working in a large organization. There's room at the table for us all to seek the flourishing of Houston together.